Hello, I'm back, living color. Glad to be back. For those who do not know me and have not tuned into any of my video channel, let me introduce myself. I'm Clifton A. Castillo. I'm a former educator and researcher in the field of secondary education. I've had numerous articles accepted for peer review in some of the top educational journals. I also published a novel too, called A Lady's Heart and Soul. I better put that in now. My life as a colored, Negro, Black, and African American. But let me tell you about one of my articles that was published, and it was used to argue a case before the United States Supreme Court on affirmative action. I'm very hubris about that. If I sound jactatious, argumentative, so be it, I am. Let me tell you the name of the article: Teacher-Student Interactions in the Integrated Classrooms. And that had to do with Caucasian teachers teaching African American students their behavior towards African American boys, most noticeably. I did that empirically. Well, most of my work was done empirically and statistically, where I was in the classroom observing. Now, I did all of this work to sort of dispel some of the things that Caucasians had, teachers rather, when they come to the classroom, some of the myths that they had. And I wanted them to have a better class, more fruitful, more productive. So if you're a Caucasian teacher, you might really want to, well, any teacher, but there are some ways and how African Americans really felt about being taught by Caucasian. You'd be surprised on that. I've also worked in private industry. Now, to download, to procure any of my articles, go to cliftonacastillo.com or cliftonacastillo.info, and there you'll be able to procure those, because if you go to a regular internet site, they'll give you the abstract, but you gotta pay. You pay the journal, not the because they have precedents. The journals do over every author in their publication. So go there and you can get it free. All right. So what brings me here today? Okay, I'm going to talk about something that's going to be gut-wrenching, emotional, draining to you. You might find it offensive. I had some of my students that called me, my former students, collegiate student, and they said, "Do you still have that tape that you tape every class period?" I said, "No, I don't. Katrina took it." Well, the course that I took, university is in New Orleans, and I said, "I don't." That was 1996. I had it at home, and I don't have it anymore. He said, "Well, why don't you reenact that and put it on YouTube?" Because we see in a parallel, there seemed to be a correlation in what you said then that we thought you were completely out of your head in 1996 compared to what society is thinking now, these groups. Okay. I said, okay, I'll just try to do it. So here I am. Anyway, the name of the course that I taught in New Orleans at the university was called Statistics and Research 102. Now follow me, 1996, that's critical. And I said, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we give a subtitle called How to Make America the Greatest Society? Do you see where I'm going with that? I think you do. How to Make America the Greatest Society Ever. And we had to employ some multiple regression, dependable variables, independent variables, and I'm not going to dwell on that. But a multiple regression is where you have a thesis or a belief or hypothesis, and you need independent, it becomes your dependable variable, but you need some independent variables, such as, I'll give you a good working analogy. Someone says that juveniles are the worst they've been in 20 years. Okay, to support that buttress their theory, what you have to do is have some independent variables. What do they use? Well, they use crime among juveniles. They use using alcohol. Whether they are respectful, they are lazy, and it just goes on and on. Okay, I think you got that now. Okay, so we had to use that now, and people come up with their ideologies, their idefix, really. Okay. So I said, students, let's get busy. What do y'all think we can do I like your opinion, what you think we can do to make America the greatest society? Everybody will envy us. Well, it's already great, Professor. But my group and a lot of other groups, it's been spreading that it's not, and we can do better. What do y'all think? Well, they said, some of them said, let's get rid of racism, prejudice. Let's legalize marijuana. Let's have free health free education. And they went on and on. You get the picture here. And I said, well, that sounds magnanimous, but who knows if that'll work. I said, but my group that I'm representing, and you may think we're outlandish or we're indifference, but we're conservative and we're Christian. We have a theory that we can make America the greatest place, and it's not now the way we look at it. We need to do something about it. We're spending too much money on this and that. Crime is rampant. Okay, let's sunder the races. Let's get rid of the Negro race. They've been America's biggest, most telling problem since slavery. We should have done some slavery, sent them to some impoverished country. We didn't. So I need some independent variables to justify that. And I said they're overrepresented on welfare. They commit more violent crimes. They have no morals whatsoever. The emotional thermostat is set wrong. In other words, they are emotionally devoid. Their intelligence when it comes to emotion. They have a shorter lifespan than we do. They have more, 9 years as a matter of fact. They have the female very educated with insurance will have a child 3 months, 2 to 3 months earlier than a Caucasian who's not educated, who doesn't even have insurance. What does that say about them? They're defective human beings. The young girl gets a period, a monthly cycle 2 years earlier than a Caucasian girl the same age, and that we know that's devastating. Getting your period too early, it devastates intellectual ability. You have more health issues. It causes you to be overweight, shorter, and so forth like that. And by these women having these babies earlier, we're burdened. Asthma, sickle cell anemia, you just name it, all sort of health problem, mentally challenged because of this, and it's costing us money. And they have no self-efficacy. They don't do anything to help themselves. They don't feel shame. There's no ignominy. They're overweight. What can we do about this? What can we really do? And by the way, Charles Murray, the sociologists say they're just not intelligent at all. They are running 15 IQ behind a Caucasian, which is devastating. It's like having a Mercedes-Benz versus a Ford. And he supported this thing and by saying, I took the ACT, SAT, LSAT, and a number of other things and proved that they are 15 points behind a Caucasian, and which proves to me that they're a defective race of people. And he wrote this in the bell curve, the bell-shaped curve, one of the most controversial book ever written on race. And that was in 1995. I taught the course in 1996. So, you see where I'm going, students? What do y'all say about this? Well, why don't we just treat them right and you wouldn't have this here? One person gave me a good one. They got the sword of Damocles hanging over their head all the time, no matter what they do. Another one say, they're trying to push the boulder like Sisyphus up the hill. I said, oh, we don't believe all of that. I got a good idea of my group. Now remember, I'm representing the group. They knew that. It's not my thinking. It's not my ID fix. These are a group. I said, my group said, what we can do is we can just put them in another state like Arizona. We can either gas them or we can be kind and humane and make them stay there and put a border around them or whatnot have you. And that should work like we did the Native American. If don't, we'll just gas them. And so someone said, gee whiz, you're not serious. Yeah, I'm serious. And then we will probably get rid of them. We won't have any more outlandish problems and so forth. All right. I said, well, we could keep the light-skinned Negro. They're supposed to be more intelligent. According to W. Du Bois even said that the lighter skin seem to have a little white blood in them, so they are more intelligent. So we'll keep the light-skinned female, breed her with a Caucasian male, and we'll be okay. We have a little diversity there. All right. Now, I told them, I said, now we've gotten rid of the Negro race. But it's 25 years later. And there are some more groups which I'm speaking for them, are saying we still got a problem. We still got a budget deficit. We still got outlandish crime, drug usage. So what can we do? I ask you all, my charges, what would you suggest? One or two things they said. Why don't we be more compassionate or something like that? I said, well, that sounds great, but that's not going to work. I said, I'll tell you what we could do to make this a better society. Why don't we get rid of the elderly people, these old people, these senior citizens, they call themselves. They want to live forever. They're living too long. The body wasn't designed to live that long. And they're costing us billions of dollars on Medicare. Wow, Social Security. And they holler, oh, we paid 3% for Medicare, 3% for Social Security. In 2 years, they've done it. In one operation, they're gone. And insurance companies don't want to represent them. They get these hip replacement. Here are some of the variables. They get hip replacement. They get heart stents and stents, and they get they have strokes. They get heart replacement. They get all these surgeries at 70 years old, and they're not going to live but another 5 years after they get all of this here. Look at the money. It costs $200,000 or $300,000 for a heart transplant. They get eye surgery, knee replacement. They draw the Social Security. They are burden on their family. They get these motorized wheelchairs and walking canes. They take something like 20 to 30 pills per day. That's just ridiculous there. So they have no energy. 95% of them are mentally devoid. They get Alzheimer's, and there's a new thing called Alzheimer's. They got that. Medical people overcharging us. That's a big thing, because they know that they shouldn't even be here. They're a burden on the caretakers. They're about as perverse as a unruly child. So we have to do something about it. What do y'all think we can do? Nobody said a thing. Well, we could try to be humane or something like that. I said, well, my group has an answer. Here's what we're going to do. This is the next lecture now. And I said, don't forget, students, I am not me. I'm speaking for a group. I said, here's what we can do. We can go ahead on and euthanize them. Don't take them when they come to the hospital. Instead of spending $200,000 when they are comatose just to keep them alive for another 3 months, let's just go ahead on euthanize them. Pay the health, especially doctors. We'll get certain doctors. They even come to the house and euthanize them. We'll pay their families to go along with it. We give them some money. We'll tell the pharmacists, don't fill those 20 to 30 prescriptions. That'll work, and we can get our budget down. Well, now the students are very disquieted with me. They don't know what to think. This is going a little bit too far, they're saying. And I said, the next class meeting, I said, but we still got a problem here in America. There's groups now, they call themselves conservative groups, and they're Christian, let them tell it. But they say, we don't have hate. We're not indifference. We're just trying to keep our country going for another 100 years for our kids and so forth. Okay, I said, well, what are we going to do? Well, nobody says anything. I said, well, I got an idea here. This is 25 years later. I'm going in increments of 25. I said, we still got a significant problem, deficit and so forth. I have an idea. Nobody had any ideas anymore, my students. I said, my group say, let's get rid of all the terminally ill kids. They're a problem. They're not going to live that long anyway. They're a burden on the family. We spend $200,000 or $300,000 on experimental medicine for them per person, and that is ridiculous. We give them surgeries, $200,000 for this surgery, $300,000 for that, and insurance don't want to pay for it. We all know that the DNA gives the code to the mRNA, which is a messenger gene, and say, okay, here it is, go fight cancer. There's a breakdown in communication. We know that that could happen in the womb of the woman and so forth, the mother rather. So that's a problem. Let's go ahead on and euthanize them, but let's do it humanely and give the parents some money. And we could tie her tubes where she wouldn't have any more kids. Okay, the kids are just incensed. They go to the dean of instruction and say, talk about non-compos mentis. He's out of his head legally. He shouldn't be a teacher. He shouldn't even be here. Okay. They're not getting the moving theme here. There's no perfect society. Okay, I said, but we still got a problem. Why don't we get rid of the homosexuals? They are a problem. They shouldn't be around. They call themselves ambisexual. They call themselves gay and so forth. Pretty soon they're going to want to get married, want equal opportunities in the workplace and so forth. They have all kind of disease. They molest our children and so forth. They have something called AIDS now, and we have to spend money, and they'll stay in a coma too forever. So, and they have no aid, no amendment, no shame. They're kissing, they're going on. They want equal opportunity. And I say that we do whatever we can. We know there's an imbalance of hormone between the estrogen and the testosterone, but we don't have time to talk about that. But Cliff Castillo came up with something. Okay, why don't we get rid of those? People are now saying, this has got to go. This has really got to go. You all have any ideas? No, well, I'll tell you what we could do. We could give them a pill to balance that chemical hormone, or we could give them shock treatment. That somebody said that'll work. Or we could put them with a prostitute. We could have them locked up in a mental institution. All of those will work. Pay somebody to report them. Well, they're saying, no, this is ridiculous. I said, okay, class, this is 25 years later. This is my next lecture. I'm just going rapidly for you. And I said, we still got a problem. What about overweight people? They're pulling America down. They have no aid, no amendment. They're not ashamed at all. We are sick of looking at them when we go to eat. So what can we do about them? They're spending money. They have to get heart transplant. They have to have strokes because they're overweight. They go into the workplace. They don't have work. They pollute the air because it takes more energy to move them around in an airplane, in a car. They're ridiculous. What can we do about all these people? Well, I'm going fast for you all now. In the next lecture, nobody said a thing. They then go back to the dean and talk to him, and I had to go and explain something. Okay. I said, my group has a humane way. What we'll do is we'll tie their stomachs. We'll pay for it. The government will pay for it. Somebody's trying to invent a pill now that'll fill them up. We will try shaming them. And what we'll do is we'll give all people that's not physically generous, as Cliff Castillo calls them, we'll give those who are coy. The government will, so they can go buy any kind of food in the supermarket. But these people are overweight. They can't. When they go into a supermarket, the lady or the person there will say, excuse me, you're overweight. Why are you buying this junk food? Do you have a card permitting you? No. And they go to fast food place. Nope, can't serve you. You're overweight. You're disgusting. You're causing us a lot of money. We could do that. That might work. Or we could tell the family, look, why don't we do this here? I'll pay you all to hide the food from them. And they eat all the time. We know this. So we'll stop them from eating. Okay, I said, what do y'all think? They're not getting it. I said, okay, I got something else to tell y'all. Let me inject this in here. Margaret Sanger, Sagner, a nurse, came up with what she called Planned Parenthood Federation of America. It was a birth control thing. This is in the 30s. And she did it because she's saying certain groups of people, we know she's talking about primarily Negro race, has a lower IQ, and we got to do something about it. Okay, so she said we can sterilize them. Well, somebody else came up with it, and I think the guy name was Francis Gallatin said, let's practice eugenics. Eugenics? Yes, let's practice that, where we make them, force them to have abortion, and that's where we get a more perfect race. We saw Hitler try to do that. And we'll breed only intelligent people with other intelligent people. And therefore we have a great society. Well, we know that's not true. It's the mother who gives the kids their intellectual ability, no matter how much their IQ is. I can't talk about that now. But that's what, so we had all kind of people coming back in the 30s. This was in the 30s. Okay. But let's look at all aforementioned cases and variables. As far as the Negro race of people, people use everything they can. They inculpate, they blame other people for their shortcoming. They want to accept culpability. We know that 10 to 15% of a person's IQ is based on self-efficacy, how they feel. And let's face it, the Negro or African American does not feel that good about themselves. And you need, that's 10 points of your IQ. Okay, talk about other things that we do to hold them down. We put a foot in their face. You have racism, prejudice, discrimination, poor schools, factories put all that polluting thing on the African American side, lead in the water, it could go on and on. Improper, unethical criminal justice system. Okay, let's go with elderly people. There should be some deference there, respect for them. They have a lot to offer. Okay, overweight people, they don't cause that much of a problem. Terminally ill kids, we got to be humane about that. If we go to people who we say are gay or homosexual, they do not abuse kids. It's the homosexual that we see most sexual abuse with. So that's it. And we know, and I can't go into that and explain all of that, what causes that to be. But folks, we have to use ethical relativism. There's no good or bad, wrong. It's your thinking that makes it so when decent people come. So why do these people think this here? Make us think this. They use gaslighting where we're the perfect place. You people are crazy, you're misfit, you should not even be here. And that sophism is very good. You can almost use every pretext and justify whatever you believe. But what causes this to be? Well, first, it's not understanding. That's the key right there. So I'm going to give you the upshot here. And then if you don't understand something, fear comes into place. Then anger, then hate. And then if you got hate, you got to do something about it. You got to take some action. We don't want to be culpable. We blame other people because of our shortcomings. Could it be jobs or whatever it is? But let's back up. There's always been an umbilical cord attached to hatred going back 200 years. And now what we're seeing today is that we've been feeding that umbilical cord, nourishing it, and now people are giving birth, these groups are giving birth to the hatred and indifference. Okay, so we don't have to be religious, we don't have to be spiritual to be understanding. Nobody asks you to love anybody, just be understanding. Don't put yourself above somebody. Again, there's no right or wrong answer until moral people get together and employ ethics, sympathy, compassion, and people who are happy want other people to be happy. It's these hate groups are not happy people. You make a moral conscience to be happy. That's what people do, and they want other people to be happy, even if this is by default. They don't even know it. They understand that. And they say, I'm not the salt of the earth. So we have to do that if we want to get a better society. Communication is the key here. And don't put a firewall up there and say, well, I'm right. I'm going to castigate everybody that don't look like me. No, that's not it. Now, I want to leave you this here. I'm okay, you're okay. Not I'm okay, that's one group, the hate group, and you're not okay. I can prove it. Sure you can. Anybody can justify anything. Let me say this finally. There are no perfect society, never will be. America's a great place and always will be. We have more people who are very compassionate, they're altruistic, but let me leave you this here. Some food to digest. Anyone can become angry. Anyone can develop fear, and they can develop hate. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person or the right group at the right time and for the right reason and in the right manner, that is not easy. And I may say only people who are ethically, have morals and self-discipline can exercise that. And I'll say one more thing. And I boasted affirmative action. I say, when it came out, I said, and I coined this here. If a young tree has been out of shape by no fault of its own for years and decades, can you ever hope to have a perfect tree, a straight tree, unless you employ some kind of help to that tree? It just won't go back straight. And I'd like to leave you with what Victor Hugo said. If a soul is left in darkness, sins will be committed. But the guilty part is not he who committed the sin, but he who caused the darkness. Or I could go to George Bernard Shaw. The greatest sin towards our fellow man is not to hate him, but it's to be indifference. It's the essence of human humanity. And I want you all to think about that. But I'm glad that we have people that are noblesse oblige. And that is, they're rich or they're up here and they look at other people down here and they say, we can help out. We can do something rather than castigate and complain and rebuke and rebuff people. We can do something about it. And decent people do. You say, you know what, I'm unhappy with this. What can I do about this to make this a better world, to make it a better society, and not judge people because they don't look to think the way we do. We need diversity. We need, it's pathetic if you just want one thing. You don't eat the same food all the time. You don't want to drive the same car all the time or wear the same clothes. So we need that. And I hope that, and the moving theme here is all of these, what I've just mentioned to you, is that there's nothing right or wrong until we employ ethical thinking. Killing people are no problem, innocent people, babies, until society say that's wrong. It is wrong to mistreat a race of people. Let's do something about it. Anyone can place the blame or inculpate someone, but accept some of the culpability and say, well, I'm not like this. And again, I like to say this. If we just look at ourselves in the mirror, we'll come up with some good ideas. Okay, as I said, I'd like for you to like me on Facebook, or you can go to my website, or you can go to YouTube. I really want your feedback on this here. But again, I know this was gut-wrenching to you and emotional, but I wanted you to think. I wanted my students to think, and I think they did in the very end. And I wanted them to say, I think it was a very fruitful class, is that we got to do better as a society, and we can do better. We always have. Great country. Love it. But if you get certain groups of people, they're the loudest one. They're more vociferous. And you ever heard the squeaky noise get the grease? Okay, I think I've talked enough, and I hope that you were able to garner something from this, and you'll go out and make a difference, give back to society, pay your rent here on earth by giving back. And it has nothing to do with religion or spirituality. It's you are a decent human being with morals and ethics that were put there by your parents. Nobody came in this world with it. And again, I think I got a minute. The mother is the one that gives a child their intelligence. Even if the father has a 200-point IQ and she only has an average of 100, she works with the child more. She shows them the difference between a duck and a chicken, where the dad may say, I told you once, that's a duck. Do you get it? So that eugenics, where they wanted to breed intelligent people to intelligent people, that might go so far. Yes, we know that about 10% of intelligence is inherited, but the intelligence comes from that mother at a very young age, from birth to 3 years old, are the most formative years. Thank you so much for listening to me. I've had fun. Hope you all have.